This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Break the Bell Podcast.
Yes, hello, beautiful bell breakers. All is right with the world.
Bill, did you notice anything different when you came in?
There's a light on me.
There's always a light on you.
Well, it seems like it.
No, that light's always there.
Oh, okay.
It's
All
always
right.
looking at you.
Let's see. There's a dummy on the keyboard.
The monitor is working. Your monitor
yes,
is working.
Yes.
I don't know why.
It
but
just started working?
It just started. I just decided tonight I'm going to plug it in and give it a shot. And it worked. I was like,
That's beautiful.
okay.
Yeah, I feel like all my senses are working.
So you guys can't see what we see, but we have a lot of moving parts. I get two monitors to me, and Bill gets one lonely monitor for himself.
Kind of. We
Kind of at a
share it.
weird angle, yeah. And it just stopped working, and so Bill's been kind of in the dark lately.
And
And
you're like, Bill, what do you think of this article? And I'm like,
can you see that from all the way over there? And
Yeah,
you're like,
right.
no. But yeah, just tonight I was like, I've got some stuff to show. I want you to be able to see it, so
appreciate that.
I'm going to plug this in and see if it were in. Lo and behold, it just
worked.
magically started working. So
Nice.
how is everybody else doing out there? Are you having as good of a night as I am with my luck in my monitors? TK says, hi. And says, the bell of liberty she rings true, forged in imperfection, beautifully crafted to reveal her individuality. I like it.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
It's good to have you, TK. I think this is the first time I've seen you on here, at least in the chat. So thanks for joining us, and hope you enjoy the show. Hopefully you stick around because we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight.
Yes.
Biden went to Europe.
Yes.
That's what the theme is tonight. Biden goes to Europe. Oops, I just got rid of us. And now this has kind of been a weird one because it kind of popped up out of nowhere. Well, there was speculation early on in the month that he might go to Europe. He might not go to Europe. He could.
Right.
He may. Well, they thought he should go to Ukraine, but there was no way that would possibly work.
Too dangerous.
Obviously, that's too
Right,
dangerous,
right.
and the logistics would just be a nightmare. Well, it turns out he did both. He went to Europe and he went to Ukraine, and it was just like, surprise, I'm in Ukraine. Now, this one is weird to me because, like I said, it popped up kind of out of nowhere. This kind of trip to Poland, no less, was where he decided to make his final destination. And I was like, you know what, why Poland?
Yes.
Of all places, why Poland? And Poland, the country Poland has popped up a couple times, like quite a few times more than it should during this whole Ukraine conflict.
Because the last time you heard about Poland was maybe in the 80s with the fighting the communist, and that was it.
I was a baby.
Yeah.
I was a wee lad, so I don't remember.
Yes.
But then Poland and Nazi Germany, and I mean,
Right,
usually you
yes.
think of Poland, you think of Hitler's
Yes,
kind of invasion of Poland, and that's about it. So, but Poland keeps coming up, keeps popping up. Like Poland sending weapons, we're replenishing their weapons. That's popped up quite a few times in the last year.
Right.
Which, if you don't know, happy birthday, happy anniversary, whatever. We have reached the 1-year anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the current Russia-Ukraine
What do you
conflict.
give for a 1-year conflict?
I'm not sure. Like
F-16s?
Obviously, I mean that's what we're going to be sending to Ukraine soon.
What
so,
every country wants.
yes. So it's like if you don't worry, if you make it to the year mark, we'll send you F-16s.
Right, yes.
That's what we're going for here. So I don't want to get too deep into this, but he did end up surprising the world with his visit to Ukraine, and now he is currently in Poland. And so I want to address. It made me get to thinking, what the fuck's going on with Poland, and why is Poland his location of choice here?
Yeah.
And so I did some digging, and I asked myself, what does Poland have to gain in this whole conflict? And it turns out Poland has quite a bit to gain from this whole conflict. So I'm going to talk about all that stuff from Ukraine to Poland, and we'll get into all that. Yeah. It's more of a story than you probably even thought there'd be. Because I was like, hey, we're going to talk about this. And you're like, really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Remember a couple weeks ago, I read that conspiracy theory about Poland. And we were both like, well, that's kind of weird. You know? And then I just kind of filed it under...
I just forgot about it, to be honest with
did
you.
you?
I just completely forgot. So
I just filed it on, okay, well, I'll keep an eye on it, but it's not something I'm really taking seriously.
Well, here it is. We're taking it serious today. Well, we're taking it as serious as Break the Bell takes anything.
And which is pretty serious.
Which is not very serious at all. Like we joke about nuclear Armageddon.
True, yes.
So
that was a funny episode.
Yeah, it was. If you haven't heard that one, our nuclear Armageddon episode was one of my favorites because you've probably never heard somebody gaff at such a serious issue so much as we do. And that's what we do here on this show.
Yes.
Before we get into the show, we obviously got to say, check us out all over the social medias. If you found us, you stumbled across us, we are on social media. We are old, but we still do kind of get around the social medias. And we are on Facebook, which makes us old. So
yeah, that's true.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are our primary handles of choice. You can find us at Break the Bell Pod on all of those. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff the kids are telling you to do these days so we can become famous. That's what we've been saying the last couple weeks is we're doing this to be famous. That's so
right. We're at a 7. Let's make us an 8.
Help us out by making us famous by sharing this far and wide. As far as your reach is, make sure everybody in your spheres, in your circles know about us. Help us help you.
Yes.
You can find links to all our social media and everything we do at our website, which is breakthebellpod.com. You can also find links to our web store, which you can buy awesome merch, awesome T-shirts with our logos on cups, on shirts. We've got the I Won't Eat Your Bugs shirt. We've got the We Are Not Your Pawns shirt. Check that out. Help support us a little more. If you want to financially support us, you can get kick-ass merch like that by going to breakthebellpod.com and buying it. So otherwise, support us by listening like you're doing now.
Yes.
That's the first thing we want you to do, and we want as many people listening as possible. So we thank you for that. We thank you for showing up. This is going to be a fun episode, I think because they always are.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Biden's Euro trip, I guess.
Yeah, anything with Biden's hilarious.
Can you imagine Biden in like a Euro trip type style movie?
Yes.
Is he the one that takes his top off at the? No, he's the one.
He's the one that makes out with his sister.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. He's the one that like jumps in front of the naked men trying to like I fuck his sister.
Yeah.
That would definitely be Joe Biden. No, he would just be making out with his sister. Or probably his daughter actually. That just got really weird. So let's get right into this intro video, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about Biden's Euro trip. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What did he say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby.
What did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
All right, we're back. We are here, and Joe Biden is in Europe.
Yes.
At least that's what they're telling us.
That's true. Yes.
Is there a possibility that he's not actually in Europe?
Oh, fuck yes.
Is there a maybe,
Yes.
I don't know, body double or like holographic or just some
Right.
like really shitty video editing to make him appear
I could
to
see
be there?
that. Yes.
I mean, is Zelensky even in Ukraine? Is Ukraine even in a war right now? Like,
they could be meeting in the Bahamas right now, for all we know.
Well, there's so many things that they tell us are going on, like that we know aren't going on. So this whole conflict could actually not be going on, and like we don't have access to Russian state media that's saying, "Guys, we're not attacking. What are you talking about? We're just here. We are like suffering, and we're not and like the media is portraying this. Well, we saw. Remember that? I think we talked about this last week. That video out of Ukraine of like the Oliver Twist dressed up people from Ukraine
running from tanks.
Yeah, just like fake bodies flying through the air.
Right,
If they can fake that, can they fake the whole fucking war?
Yes.
I feel like they could. So there's at least a 50% chance that there's not even a war going on in Ukraine right now.
What was the movie? Was it Wag the Dog? Where they like faked a whole war. And
I mean,
it was something similar. No, it wouldn't.
I mean,
with technology today.
I mean, war is a racket, as we've said.
Yeah.
You can just funnel all kinds of money through war, and like so much freaking like money laundering that can and is done through war.
Yes.
I mean, imagine how much money laundering you could do through a not war.
Right.
It's just like, oh, all this military funding going to Ukraine.
We're sending another $100 billion over to Ukraine.
Yeah, but there's no war there, so
yeah.
It's just like we can actually maximize our profits by spending money on a war that doesn't exist. I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect plan. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even mad. That's amazing. So, like I said in the pre-show, the Biden administration has kind of had this on-again, off-again thing going with this European trip. It's like, well, he might be going to Europe. We're not sure where. We haven't decided on a place yet. And then people are like, well, if you're going to Europe, you should stop in Ukraine. Yeah. And his inner circle's like, no, that would not be
that would be
logistically
too dangerous.
Possible.
Let's do this.
It turns out.
Yes.
And we'll get into this. It turns out they've been planning the secret part of his trip to Ukraine for months now.
Right.
For months.
Yeah.
And it's like, as they're saying, it's not possible. They're just like, it's fucking happening. Yeah. But obviously, I mean, I don't put it against him for keeping that part a secret.
No. Right.
Like, you don't want to tell the entire world that you're going to like this hot zone. Yeah. Well, obviously that was like historic though too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, we'll get into all that.
Okay.
But let's talk about his trip for like the pre-trip, pre-trip preparation.
The easy leg.
Yeah. Well, no, he took the hard leg first, but we're in the prepping phase, the pre-planning phase for the trip. Because I got this article from as recent as a couple weeks ago. I think this was like January 26th, so maybe 3 weeks ago. It says Biden is considering a trip to Europe in show of support for the Ukraine war after 1 year of war. So again, this is just speculating.
So that's
what
you get at 1 year anniversary is you get a president.
Yes, you get a U.S. president, sitting U.S. president, and F-16s.
Right.
So again, January 16th or January 26th, they're saying, oh, he may or may not, but from what they say, this has been a thing for months now. So even this speculation of going to Europe, this is all fabricated. This is all bullshit. Like, he's obviously going to make a trip. They just haven't come out and said it yet. They don't want to be like, we're planning a trip to Europe on this day, and we're definitely going to visit Ukraine.
Yeah, right.
Because that gives a lot of time for some enemies. Yeah. Not even just Russia. There's probably a lot of fucking people that would love to know exactly when and where the U.S. president's going to be at any given time.
Right.
Not saying that they'd assassinate him, but there's a good chance they'd probably assassinate him.
He doesn't have a lot of friends right now.
No, not really. So this is from NBC News. It says, Biden considering his trip to Europe in show of support for Ukraine after 1 year of war. President Joe Biden is considering a trip to Europe next month to coincide with the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, said 3 administration officials and a person familiar with the discussions. Now, you got to remember, he likes to do things he likes to push things out to, like, the holiday of, the anniversary of. Because remember, he was going to push out the withdrawal of troops till September 11th.
Yes.
We're going to keep them in there until September. And they're just like, can we just fucking come home?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, no, we're going to do this.
Just think how great it'll be if it's on this day.
It's going to be so symbolic, and they're like, it would be even better if you just let us come home. So he decides to wait and do this Europe trip, like literally
on President's Day.
On President's Day, but it's also like tomorrow. It marks the 1 year of Putin attacking Ukraine. It says multiple locations are under consideration. No, multiple are not under consideration. Right. They already had this all worked out and planned out exactly how this was going to be. The White House is exploring ways Biden might mark the milestone in the Ukraine war, the sources said. The goal, they said, is for him to use the moment to draw attention to Ukraine's resilience against Russia's brutal military campaign and reaffirm U.S. solidarity with Ukrainian people as the conflict enters a new phase. Now, all right, so marking a milestone in the Ukraine war, a war that we're not supposed to be part of, a war that we supposedly have nothing to do with. Yes. Why does the U.S. president have to mark a milestone in somebody else's fucking war?
Because we're fighting for democracy.
Well, we're not, though. Supposedly, we are
supporting the fight for democracy.
Okay, but what does that? What kind of symbolism does that give? Having a guy that's just this whole time's been like, no, Russia, we're not part of this war. We're not in this.
Well, you got to figure. Okay, now we've given money, we've given tanks, we've given weapons. And now we have a president on the ground making sure everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that's more than Vietnam got.
That's fair. But also, Vietnam, we were actively in that war.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Now.
We shouldn't have been.
But we learned. Why use our own troops when we can use somebody else's?
I mean, that's fair. It says... Biden administration officials have also discussed announcing another major military aid package for Ukraine to coincide with the anniversary. Birthday presents all around.
Wow.
You get military aid. You get military aid. We all get military aid, like Oprah. No final decisions about on the president's travel have been made. Yeah, right. The administration officials and the person familiar with discussions have said. Asked about potential presidential trip to Europe next month around the Ukraine war anniversary, a spokesperson for the National Security Council said in a statement, "We don't currently have any travel plans for the anniversary."
Liar! Whoa.
You just blew my microphones up.
Sorry, yes.
No current travel plans. That we're going to tell you.
That we'll tell you about.
An administration official said planning for the anniversary is underway, and of course we are exploring a variety of options that the U.S. can do to support Ukraine, but nothing is set or decided upon yet. Then it gets into the history of the war, which we've covered plenty. We don't have to talk about.
We did our own anniversary show.
Yeah,
Basically,
we've covered this quite a bit, so we don't have to tell you that 1 year ago, Russia troops, blah blah blah, all that bullshit, all that shit they're telling us that's probably not true. So there's no final decision made as of January 26th. Sure. No travel plans made as of January 26th. Coincidentally, this all coincides with Putin giving his big hurrah speech.
For 1 year?
Tonight, tomorrow, somewhere, whatever Russian time is. It's probably going to happen in the next few hours. But it's technically tomorrow, but it's going to happen soon. Right. So Biden shows up to Ukraine, coincidentally, about the same time that Putin is standing up and saying, we're going to win this war. We're going to... So Biden is like countering that, I guess? Like, is this just like a... like prop himself up, literally prop himself up, like a bloviating moment for him?
Probably.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, who's going to get more press in the world, right?
Well, Putin basically, like, we know Putin's going to get up and give the speech.
Yeah.
We know it's going to happen.
Yes.
And the world tells us he's also going to announce his plans to push further or push harder or war so much harder than he's been warring already. So, no, it's not going to be that big of a surprise. But for Biden, just be like, I'm here, guys. I'm giving a speech. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, my God.
Right.
To me, it almost seems symbolic in a way that a U.S. president shows up there and he's like, that as a milestone for me would be a milestone of, all right, we're in this. Yeah. We're in this together pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it
that's
almost
what it
seems
like.
yeah, we're joining in on this without saying that we're joining in on it. But at least from an enemy's perspective, I could see that that's how Russia would take this. It's like, well, the U.S. has been saying all this time he's not in this. Well, what the fuck's the U.S. president doing here?
I mean, think about all the proxy wars we've been involved in.
Right.
How many of those has the president shown up on the field?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, exactly. And I'll get into that here because that's what makes it so historic.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that was 2 weeks ago. They were speculating. They didn't even know where it was going to happen.
Is it possible they surprised Biden? Like, he's like, hey, I really want some ice cream. And they're like, sure, sir. And then they're like, surprise, we're in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They did not even tell him that's where he was going because that information would have leaked because he would have left it. Right. He would have left the paperwork somewhere in a freaking file folder in his closet or next to his Corvette
like,
somewhere.
Hey, when I see Zelensky next week, I mean, shit.
Exactly. So, like I said, 3 weeks ago, they had no idea where they were going. As of the weekend, they kind of let it release that, hey, we are going to Poland. This is going to happen. We're going to go to Poland. And so everybody's like, oh, this is going to be this great this moment for him to show support there in Eastern Europe. And again, my question, as soon as I read this was, why Poland? Why Poland of all places? But so from Politico, it says this will be one of the decisive moments of his presidency as he heads to troubled Europe. Lindsey Graham said that this moment in history, before they even announced he was going to Ukraine, just him going to Europe is one of the decisive moments of his presidency.
What a suck ass.
Kiss ass Lindsey Graham? No shit. We've known that about Lindsey Graham, though. President Joe Biden heads to Europe this week in a trip meant to show defiance.
Is that what that means?
That's what it says. It says, in a trip meant to be a show of defiance. So we're not going there for like a peacekeeping mission.
Yeah.
It's to say, basically, nah, I'm here. What are you going to do about it? It's show defiance. I mean, when I think of somebody showing defiance, I think of teenagers.
Yes.
Like angsty teenagers in a show of defiance against their parents. Like, I'm doing this and there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do?
Or some kind of passive aggressiveness. Again, I'm not committing to aggression, but I'm going to hint at it.
But I'm here. What you going to do about it? He will mark a second year of war. Now, they keep saying that because, yes, it is going into the second year, but this is marking 1 year of war. This has not been 2 years. So when you say he will mark a second year of war, that sounds like this is the end of the second year of war. He will mark a second year of war by denouncing Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine and publicly declare that the United States will support Kiev until the final moments of the conflict.
Well, that sucks.
Does that sound like long-term goals to you?
Yeah, I'm thinking 20 years.
When was the last time the U.S. committed to a long-term goal?
Like last year.
Like,
well, no, 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years. 21 years ago.
Yeah.
That
Biden got us out of.
Yeah,
and now we're in another one.
Wasn't his whole spiel? It's like, we got to stop these forever wars.
Yes.
That was like his moment.
Yeah.
Like his.
That's what got the Democrats on board. They're like, hey, all right, this might be okay.
Yeah, that was like his. What he ran on. One of the things besides not Trump. One of the things was get out of the forever wars. Yes. And now he's just basically announced. Yeah. We're here to the end, guys.
Yeah.
We don't know when the end is, but we're here. Says the backdrop to Biden's trip is also complicated, dangerous, and uncertain. As the fighting continues to rage, both sides of the Atlantic fear Russia is finding its footing. Ukraine may be overmatched in certain parts of the east and south, and the West pipeline of weapons will slow to a trickle. Not if the U.S. has anything to say about it. Biden leaves Monday for Poland to meet with President Andrzej Duda and other key NATO leaders. U.S. officials believe Ukraine's defense is about to hit a critical phase with Russia launching its much-telegraphed offensive. Now, has Russia been telegraphing its new offensive, or has everybody else been telegraphing that Russia is going
everybody else has been telegraphing it. He's making a big push in the spring, guys.
Yes.
Here it comes.
The Biden administration has urgently pressed President Volodymyr Zelensky's administration to consolidate its gains and perhaps launch its own counterstrike. The White House has also told Zelensky's team, per multiple officials, to prepare for the offensive now, as weapons and aid from Washington and Europe flow freely, for fear that backing from Ukraine's European neighbors could be finite. So they're saying, hey, the weapons aren't going to keep pouring in, so you should prepare your offensive now. What is he doing with those weapons if he's not preparing some sort of offensive? Was he just hoarding them somewhere? It's like, you know what you should do? You should take all these weapons we're giving you and fight the Russians with them. I was just giving you this, passing this advice to you. These weapons, you really should fight the Russians with those.
Don't sell them and buy a yacht.
Don't sell them on the black market.
Yes. You're going to need these.
Don't sell them to Afghanistan because God knows they got enough of our weapons
we left
already.
Them enough. We left
and
them
all they're doing is selling them off to Russia.
Right, exactly.
And Washington's support for Ukraine has remained largely bipartisan, though some of the administration fear it may be harder to send additional aid to Kiev amid mounting resistance from the new Republican-controlled House. For now, though, even some of Biden's fiercest critics salute the work he has done. So this is Lindsey Graham, kissing ass.
Yes,
he's been good about connecting our national interests to the fight, and that is good for the world. For Russia not to be successful, it's going to be one of the decisive moments in his presidency.
Wow.
So, thoughts so far on this trip, this planned trip to Europe to be this sticking it to Putin, this act of defiance or whatever they're calling it, and this is this a decisive moment in Biden?
I mean, I guess I guess I would say it is decisive for him.
This is like Roosevelt moment during World War II, or his what's the prime minister guy from World War II?
Winston Churchill.
Yeah, this is never give in.
We'll fight them from the beaches. Yeah.
You think that's what this all was?
That's what he's going for sure. I mean, he wants to be seen as the strong president. But like you and I were talking about, it's like, okay, well, how much is this really a war? You know?
Right.
I mean, is this something that we even need to be? I don't know where most other Americans sit, but I know, I'm on the point where it's like, why are we doing this? Why are we here?
I think that's getting to be more and more the case, and it's getting more like sooner than it ever did during Vietnam.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But where are all the goddamn hippies? That's what I want to know.
I know. We need more hippies.
I guess we're not sending our troops there yet. We're just sending all our money, and
I was gonna say, but yeah, we're sending all our money, and we're already at a place where we don't got a lot, despite what they say. I guess for me, it's. I've listened to people talk about this, and they all say the same thing. That is, if Ukraine falls, then Russia's going to move on to the next country.
You know who's really pushing that narrative?
Mm-hmm.
Poland.
Oh, Poland. Well, of course, Poland does.
One of the people that is really, well, first of all, Poland's the next country.
Right.
But Poland's really pushing that narrative.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if they fall, we're going to be next. What's going to stop them from rolling into the... Well, NATO. NATO is going to stop them.
And that's why they're there.
That's why they haven't pushed further already.
Yes.
I mean, they tried to push this thought. I remember when that missile fell onto Poland territory.
Yes, yeah.
And it turned out it wasn't even a Russian missile. It was a Ukrainian missile. And Poland was like, see, they're and Biden was like, oh my gosh, they're bombing Poland now.
Yeah.
And but Russia is just like, guys,
right.
We're not, we don't give two fucks about Poland.
Right.
At all.
But
we just want.
It's part of that narrative that that Putin is trying to get back all the territory that the Soviet Union lost.
Yeah, well, we'll get more into that.
I know.
I got stuff to talk about that because other people have lost territory to Ukraine that tend to want their territory back too. So we'll get into that. What about this line that says, back to this line that says that this will publicly declare the U.S. will support Kiev. And this is when we said until the final moments. We got into the final moments part, the long-term part, but hasn't the U.S. been publicly declaring their support for the last year?
I think that's what $113 billion does.
I think so.
Give support.
On the other hand, president showing up in Europe and saying, I publicly declare my support. What does that I mean, is that a little instigating maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Like a little like provocative?
Well, again, I mean, how many proxy wars have we been in? How many proxy wars has Russia been in? And how many times has Putin or a U.S. president shown up on the ground? Never,
ever,
right?
Never,
so I mean,
ever.
Exactly. So this is a little bit more than, hey, we support you guys in
Well,
your fight.
But it's been the whole time, we've said this the entire time. They are trying to push him to step a foot onto NATO territory.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we sent the weapons, and he said if we sent the weapons, that would be the line, and that would be an act of war. Oh, shit, he didn't. He still didn't declare war on NATO.
Yeah.
Well, what if we send in just like a diplomat, like a U.S. diplomat to the area, and he can publicly declare that we are supporting? Then do you think that would... Well, no, not quite. What if we send the U.S. president over there to say, I publicly support this? He's not saying that we are in the war, but would that be enough to get Russia to come to... To see that provocative enough to decide, hey, we're now at war with the West?
Now, is it possible that Biden went to Ukraine not just to...
Biden went to Ukraine to get killed, if that's what you're going for.
Well,
that's what I think. I think part of them... Are yours crackling?
Mine just did too.
Are we talking way too loud? Let me turn down a little. Biden went to... My whole thought originally was they're sending him as bait.
Yeah.
And they're hoping Putin will off him.
Because what a bigger act of war than offing
the U.S.
leader.
president. Yes, absolutely. That's what I think too. Was that where you're going?
Yes.
That's where I was going with it. Let's keep going unless you got anything else.
Well,
on that.
but then they were reminded that we have Kamala Harris when she said, "Well, I do think Russia committed some acts of war crimes."
Well, they all say those things.
I know, but coming from her, it just seems to hurt.
Well, everything hurts coming from Kamala. Have you heard her voice? Her voice is painful.
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, I missed the part that says aides have explored attempting to covertly get Biden across the border in Ukraine, but a trip has been all but ruled out. So not going to Ukraine.
Right, not even a possibility.
It says most aides believe the security risk to Biden or Ukraine would not be worth it. Fast forward a day, because this article came out the 19th. So yesterday. Okay. This article came out yesterday. Aides said it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah.
That night, like 2 a.m. this morning, Biden was on a plane.
Yeah.
That he didn't even realize
I sent
he
you
was
that
on.
this morning. Be like, hey, Joe Biden's in Ukraine, and you're like, is that real?
Yeah, well, because this is why I asked, is that even real? Because last night when I was looking into all this stuff, there was like this stuff here, and there was the extra stuff I got to digging into with Poland. But I'm like, I don't typically do this, is sideline the research for the day of.
Right.
Because I knew his trip to Poland was supposed to be scheduled tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, there's something missing here. There's something is missing. They're not telling us something. I bet something comes out tomorrow. So I'm going to sideline some of this research until the day of and see what comes out. And I went to sleep on it, woke up the next day. You had sent me a thing saying Biden's in Kiev. And I'm like, there it is. Yeah. I knew something was going to happen. I knew they were going to surprise us, quote unquote surprise. Well, did any of us really believe he wasn't going to visit Ukraine?
No.
At least visit Zelensky.
Yeah, visit Zelensky in the very least.
In the very least, Zelensky would travel to Poland in the middle of the war and visit Biden
Yeah.
and kiss his ass, or vice versa. Actually, it'd probably be
It's
vice versa.
versa.
Yeah. So here we are today. The president has already made his magically ended up in Kiev.
Yes.
Like nobody knew it was happening. Nobody knew it was going to happen.
Right.
All this covert operation. The media has almost made this seem like this was like when they took out Osama bin Laden, this covert operation to get Biden into this war zone.
Right.
Because they're like, well, he had to get on this plane, and he actually flew on this Air Force jet, not Air Force One, this Air Force transport jet that's for dignitaries and stuff. And then he landed to refuel in Munich, Germany, and then he flew into such and such, I think Poland probably, I don't remember. But then he boarded a train and rode the train into Kiev because that was the only way. Because I guess it's
ballsy.
There's no fly zone
where we've been with trains.
Yeah, right. I feel like Ukraine's trains are doing better than our trains right now. But so it was just this secret operation that nobody knew about. Press even knew.
Hulu's going to make a movie about this.
Yes, absolutely. So as of this morning, let me find the headline. President Biden makes a surprise visit to Kiev and pledges new military aid. How much more can we send them? Pledge them? Does it sound like it's drying up like that Politico article said?
Yeah, no, not even close. Not even close.
So this is from Zero Hedge. It says, President Biden departed from Joint Base Andrews in Prince George County, Maryland, early Sunday morning. He stopped at Ramstein Air Base in Germany before making an unannounced visit to Ukraine Monday morning. The visit comes ahead of the first anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Biden's visit comes as Russia prepares for a massive spring offensive. Western countries are racing to flood Ukraine with new weaponry, including main battle tanks and armored vehicles. Biden delivered remarks alongside President Zelensky at Mariinsky Palace in Kiev and announced new military aid worth $500 million. That doesn't seem like much compared to what he's been sending them. It's $500 million. The new military aid includes anti-tank missiles, air surveillance radars, howitzers, shells, ammunition, and other support, but no new advanced weaponry. I don't believe that.
I don't either.
I thought it was critical that there not be any doubt, none whatsoever, about U.S. support for Ukraine in the war, Biden said in joint remarks with Zelensky. He said, I'm here to show our unwavering support for the nation, independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Zelensky thanked Biden for coming to Kiev at a huge moment for Ukraine. He said he and the U.S. president would hold talks about the war and what's happening on the front lines, and also about the people, about Ukrainians, about Americans, what we have to do to stop the war, to have success, and how to win this year. Biden said, I am meeting with President Zelensky and his team for an extended discussion on our support for Ukraine. He added that Russian President Vladimir Putin was dead wrong, believing he could instantly take Ukraine during the invasion nearly a year ago. Over the last year, the United States has built a coalition of nations from the Atlantic to the Pacific to help defend Ukraine with unprecedented military, economic, and humanitarian support. And that support will endure. Again, sounds like long-term goals.
Very much so.
Biden also said, we will announce additional sanctions against elites and companies that are trying to evade or backfill Russia's war machine. The president's social media team was busy tweeting this morning. So, a bunch of tweets from Joe Biden, apparently, but he was in Ukraine, so he's not tweeting it out.
It was his team.
Biden's long-term support for Ukraine shows the war is far from over, with both sides preparing for spring offensives. After Ukraine, Biden will visit Poland. He's expected to deliver a speech on the war efforts and talk with the Polish President Duda, as well as other European leaders. So, excuse me, he's in Ukraine.
Yes.
Was in Ukraine. Surprise, Ukraine. More military aid. Yes. Unwavering support. Long-term support.
Till the very end.
Till the very end. Again, sounds a whole lot like Afghanistan.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, this is historical. We keep saying that.
Yeah.
Because this is the first time a U.S. president has visited an active war zone that we supposedly were not part of.
Right.
So, I mean, it's different, like George Bush and Barack Obama and even Donald Trump visited Afghanistan, Iraq, those places, like drop down into a war zone. It's like, oh my God, the president went to he's so brave. Right. He's so brave.
Yeah.
And, but this time is different because this isn't a war we're part of. We don't have troops on the ground for him to go lift up, and be pat him on the back, say good job, slap him on the ass and stuff.
Right.
Nothing like that. Just Zelensky to pat on the back and slap on the ass,
which is good enough for him.
Yeah, which is all he needs. So,
yeah.
Do you think this was necessary?
No.
Do you think this was a smart move?
No.
Because what do you think the Russians think of this?
Well, I mean, yeah, because before, I mean, the Russians were kind of telling their people, be like, look, the U.S. isn't really a part of this, right? They're saying, they're supporting them, but this isn't a proxy war at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it kind of is now. I mean, when a sitting U.S. president shows up at a war zone, that kind of, I mean, that's, when you're watching pro wrestling and Hulk Hogan runs into the ring, he's kind of interfering with the match. So
Are you comparing Joe Biden to Hulk Hogan?
Well, no. I'm sorry. I did not mean that at all.
I mean,
maybe Hacksaw Jim Duggan. No, but what I'm saying is, like, I mean, making an appearance like this is more than sending money. This is more than sending tanks or jets or whatever. I mean, this is you're in. I mean, the United States president doesn't show up to places and have it not mean anything.
Well,
right?
they even said this was like symbolic. This whole trip was to stick it to Putin. So what is it saying when he's actually going to your adversary that you're not even supposed to be part of? I see you going there to Europe to say, we're going to support our allies here.
Right.
And
but
to actively go into somebody who's technically not our ally.
I mean, that's not if he showed up at Poland and talk to the NATO allies, that's one thing. But again, he is in a war zone, in a war that we're not supposedly a part of.
Right. So I got Joe Biden's speech here that or part of it at least, that he gave with Zelensky as they're like holding hands and making out and shit.
Yeah,
so
right.
I just wanted to listen to a little bit of this and see what you think of this, like this Winston Churchill moment for him. Do you think he made the emboldening speech that he intended it to
I'm sure
be?
he said folks a couple times.
Of the United States of America.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. You know, it was 1 year ago this week that we spoke on the telephone, Mr. President. It was very late at night in Washington, very early in the morning here in Kiev.
Did he? Yeah. Ukrainians call it Kiev. Russians call it Kiev. Gotcha. And I started out calling it Kiev, and then just to stick it to them, I keep calling it Kiev. So the Soviet term for it was Kiev.
Gotcha.
So did he just take his earpiece out of his ear?
I thought so, yes.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's what I wanted to point out.
His people are freaking out right now.
Yeah, like, oh, God, he took his earpiece out.
Russian planes were in the air and tanks were rolling across your border. You told me that you could hear the explosions in the background. I'll never forget that. And the world was about to change.
Derek Ambrose says there's no audio, which that really freaking sucks because that sucks.
Yeah.
So I guess we won't watch it then. It's not that important. It's basically, I mean, he's very clearly just flipping through and reading, and like he will emboldenedly say like, Kiev stood strong, and then he'll go back to his mumbling and bumbling and stuff. I wish
So he had his bullet points he hit.
Yeah, but he's very clearly just reading. He's not giving any kind of like. This is not his Churchill moment or even his Hitler moment or whatever you want to call it. There's just not much there, and it's like even Zelensky came out and said, he's so brave to come here, and it's just like,
yeah, they're kissing each other's ass.
Majorly kissing each other's ass.
No, Zelensky, you're brave.
No, you're brave. No, the way you dance naked on that one music video in your high heels, that was brave. I could never do that. Now, according to the U.S. propaganda machine, like CNN, Putin was upstaged by this moment.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's why he did it.
Oh, well, yeah, that was the whole point. But do you think Putin was like, damn it, he beat me to the punch. I feel upstaged and embarrassed by this moment.
No, I don't think.
Anything that Biden could possibly do or say, I don't think would ever upstage bear hunting.
I was going to say.
Bear wrestling.
No shirt.
Shirtless bear wrestling.
Geese to the promised land.
Yes. Vladimir Putin.
Yes.
I mean, it's. No. Yeah. But this is CNN. It says Biden's Ukraine visit upstages Putin and leaves Moscow's military pundits raging. Well, of course they're raging. You just did what they... Basically, Russia's been saying the U.S. is in this war.
Yeah.
And the U.S. is like, no, we're just helping support democracy, propping up democracy. And they're like, no, you're kind of in this war. And then the president shows up and they're like, see, you're in this war.
Yeah.
As it says... Joe Biden's surprise visit to Ukraine sparked anger and embarrassment among many Russian hawkish military pundits on Monday, increasing pressure on Vladimir Putin as the Russian leader prepares to justify his stuttering invasion in a national address. Biden's historic visit, they keep using that word. I don't think it means what they think it means, came days before the one-year anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, providing a symbolic boost to Kiev at a crucial juncture in the conflict. But the visit caused fury in Russia's pro-military and ultra-nationalist circles as it upstaged Putin on the eve of a major address in which Russian president is expected to tout the supposed achievements for what he euphemistically calls a special military operation. Well, shit, we've been calling every war a special military operation euphemistically
since World War II
for 85 fucking years.
Yeah.
You can't put that. You can't hold that against him when he took it out of our playbook.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they haven't called. They didn't call Afghanistan a war.
Yeah.
They didn't call Iraq a war, even though those were both considered the war on terrorism. Yeah. They didn't call Vietnam a war, even though everybody calls it the Vietnam War. They didn't even call it Korea War, which was the Korean War.
Yeah.
So I mean, if U.S. can get away with it, surely I can get away
yeah.
with it.
Yeah. No, I don't think that they were enraged. They were probably just like, yeah, I knew it.
Well, fuck, it happened.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming,
Yeah.
but it finally happened. So this is one of the snarky pundits that they're talking about. It says, Biden in Kiev, demonstrative humiliation of Russia. Tales of miraculous hypersonics may be left for children. I think there's some mistranslation here because some of this don't make sense. Just like spells about the holy war we are waging with the entire West. So basically they're saying the United States is basically claiming that we're waging a holy war against the West. And he's like, I guess there's a lunch break in a holy war because they took a break for this, shit show.
Yeah.
Says, wouldn't be surprised if the grandfather is brought to Bakhmut as well, which is front lines. It says nothing will happen to him. So basically this war pundit is kind of pissy with Putin for not doing more,
right,
and saying we're not pushing hard enough because he's like, well, they might as well come to the front lines because we're not doing a damn thing about it anyway.
So that guy's probably dead now.
Right. It says Gherkin is among members of hardline military bloggers, some whom have hundreds of thousands of followers and provide analyses of the conflict for large swaths of Russian population, who have repeatedly criticized what they consider a soft approach on the battlefield by Putin's generals. So they want them to war harder, basically, and they're not warring hard enough. So here's the thing, though. Now, they are like supposedly outraged by this moment. But they're also kind of criticizing themselves at the same time. Now, CNN says, well, they're just pissed and embarrassed that they upstaged Putin.
Right.
And Putin is now kind of, I don't know, he's like left to the already drunk crowd.
Right.
So basically Biden got like the primetime set and Putin is now left with like the after hours where nobody's watching.
Right.
Like
the late show.
Yeah, the late show. Yeah. My opinion on this is Putin's going to use this to go to further his rhetoric. If his rhetoric was going to be harsh and going to be like propagandizing to begin with, who is what they're saying, well, he's going to use this against it, he's going to say this, and he's going to lie about this. Well, now he's got this ammunition to say, look, a U.S. president is there. They invited you, like the U.S. is now we're not just fighting a war against Kiev. Yeah. We're fighting a war against the West. They brought the war to us, basically.
Yeah. And they're going to look at it and be like, look, we told you they were a puppet of the United States, right? Their Nazis are there. You know, these are American Nazis that are trying to dictate their ways upon our people. Now we have to fight harder.
Yes. But that would be saying that Biden is the puppet master when Biden is just another puppet.
Well, you and I know that.
I think Russia knows that too.
Well,
you think Russia fears Joe Biden?
Knows that, but again, that's good. It's good fodder to get the people kind of.
That is true. Up. That is true. I mean, it is symbolic in a way to say, look, there it is right there.
Yeah.
Basically, you might as well have just flown an American flag.
Right.
In Ukraine.
Absolutely. And that's basically what that is when you have the president show up.
Right. So I don't want to spend the whole time on Ukraine because we talked a lot about Ukraine. I want to get into Poland eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't. Joe Biden in the speech kept talking about how many times he came. How many times he came? Like 7 times. And it was really awkward. It was super awkward. He's like, I came in 2016. I came in 2009. I came came again in 2012.
We don't care about your sex life with Jill.
Even after I was vice president, I came again. He's talking about all the times he came to Ukraine.
Well, but and again,
heavily focusing on Ukraine.
Well, again,
in the speech on how many times his always had a special interest in Ukraine is basically what it's making sound like. He's like, oh, this is symbolic because it's the first time I came in Ukraine or to Ukraine as a president, but I came 7 times as a vice president, and then I came once again even after, like between.
I think that's problematic that he says that because we know that he has business dealings in Ukraine.
Yes.
So,
we always talk about the whole focus for probably the last 6 months in Hunter Biden has been China.
Yes.
Nobody has really, since the Ukraine war kicked off, not a whole lot of people have returned to the focus of Hunter Biden and Ukraine and Burisma. And the whole reason why Donald Trump was impeached for the first place was because of Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine.
And the big guy.
There was a lot of money flowing from Ukraine into Hunter Biden, and yes, money for the big guy, but we here lately it's just been like, well, Biden has close ties with China. Biden and Hunter Biden in China, all these business dealings in China. It's like, did we forget about that? This whole fucking thing started with Ukraine.
Yes,
all this Hunter Biden story started in Ukraine, and I mean, it goes as deep as Russia has actually accused Hunter Biden of assisting with setting up biological warfare labs in Ukraine. There's a lot of shitty things. The one time when he says, one of the times he's like, yeah, I came to Ukraine so many times. One of the times was him to go there and pressure them to fire the prosecutor that was looking into Hunter Biden.
Yes.
So I think it's really kind of ballsy or stupid for him to be like, remember all the times I came to Ukraine?
Yeah.
Well, that, at least for me, was like, oh, yeah, you were in Ukraine. Yeah. And at least one of the times, was to advance your business dealings through shitty pressure on their government. And so, yes, Biden has all this special interest in Ukraine, and it goes much deeper than just furthering democracy.
Ukraine was Biden's baby since way before he became president.
Derek Ambrose says 10,000% the DOD sends Biden there in hopes that they shoot down Air Force One or attack the city to bring the U.S. into air retaliation to an attack on the president. Yeah, you must have came in late because we said that probably 20 minutes ago. I was like, they only sent Biden there to get killed. Yeah. They were hoping. Yeah. Part of them was hoping that he would get killed.
He can't run for president again.
It's a win-win situation. We get drug into this war. We have to go to war then.
Yeah.
And then also, we don't have to tell Joe Biden that we don't want him to run for president again. I mean, win-win for across the board. I'm not saying that. That's what his circle is saying.
Right, yeah.
Don't come to me and be like, you said you wanted Joe Biden to get off. I didn't say that out loud, but I think that's what they were going for.
Yes.
So we're getting close to break. Anything else on this visit to Kiev?
I think that it's the first of many.
Visit to Kiev by Joe Biden?
Yeah.
You think he'll...
I do. I think, again, now that he has shown up there, he's broken the seal. I can see him showing up there, maybe in the summer. Depending on how the war goes, I bet you he shows up more. So
maybe. I don't know. One part I forgot to mention is, now the U.S. did, out of the goodness and kindness of their hearts, warn Russia ahead of time that he was going to visit Kiev. So they didn't spark some international incident.
Yes, because that would be unfortunate.
Yeah.
If they accidentally,
hours before he left, they're like, just so you know.
He's going to be on this train arriving at 12:30.
They did warn them ahead of time, just so when he comes on the news and he's in Kiev, they're like, what the fuck is going on? So they can say, well, we did let you know, but and they wouldn't, they couldn't specify what the response was. They're probably like, fuck that he is. That would be my guess, because that would be my response to that. It's like, I don't know. But I forgot to point that part out. But that there are plenty of articles that say, oh, by the way, they did warn Russia ahead of time. Yeah. I want to know what the response actually was.
Yeah, I do too.
I can just see Putin with that like snicker that he has.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
All right.
Okay. I
wish you good
health.
Yes, we all know what that means. We talk if you're new to our show, Putin saying "I wish you good health" is basically a death sentence.
It's like a Sicilian kiss of death.
Yes, it's a death sentence.
Yeah.
When Putin wishes you good health, but that came from I think it was that guy that got poisoned.
I think so. Yeah.
That they speculated that Putin had him poisoned, and he's like basically like, I don't know anything about this, but I wish him good health. And we're just like, oh, fuck. That's ominous right there. So I'm going to take a little early break because I want to shift focuses back to Poland because I still have this huge question of why the hell? Because now that he's stopped in Kiev, he's made his hurrah, his big appearance, like got his pats on the back and slaps on the ass from Zelensky. I want to shift to the next leg of his trip, which was supposed to be the maiden leg of his trip.
Right.
First of all, can you imagine Poland? Like, it was already set that this big historic moment, like, Biden's going to visit Poland right on the front lines, or like right on the border of Ukraine, pretty much. And it was going to be this big hurrah for Poland.
And then like, massive like parades ready and all this shit.
And then, well, they talk about Putin being upstaged by this trip to Kiev. Poland got majorly upstaged by this because now Poland is the second leg of the trip.
Right. Yeah.
Poland is, and I've actually seen this. Poland, Biden to visit Poland on his way back from Kiev is what they've titled it. It's just like, wait, that was supposed to be the main point of the trip was to visit Poland, and now they're just like a stopping point. When a plane, like what's that called? When a plane
like
stops,
a layover.
Yeah, just a layover in Poland.
Like,
much.
Since we're here, we'll stop in. What the heck?
Yeah. So imagine Poland, who is already highly nationalistic and highly like we are the top dogs in this. Like we are providing the most aid supposedly, and we want to be the front lines to the front lines.
Yeah.
And then Biden's like, yeah, we'll stop there on the way out. It's like, wait, this was our trip.
Right.
This was my show.
Yeah.
That's like having a wedding, like planning your whole wedding, and then your best friend's like, I'm going to get married before you in the same spot.
Yeah.
And everybody can be there at the same time. I'll get mine done and over with at 4, and then you can have your wedding at 5.
Right.
I mean, pretty much what we're talking about here. Let's get to break. Then we'll get more into Poland because, again, lots of questions about Poland. And I said in the beginning, what does Poland have to gain in all of this conflict? And apparently quite a bit. So we're going to take 4 or 5 minutes, refresh our coffees and our drinks and whatever, take a piss or whatever we do, whatever you do on this break. But make sure you come back for the second half because this Poland stuff, like I put the Ukraine stuff at the beginning because I'm like, well, this is clearly going to be the most interesting stuff. And then the more I read on Poland, I'm like, this Poland stuff is pretty interesting. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about this crazy Polish stuff. So we will be right back.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
And we're back. Are you back? You're not back.
I'm back now.
You need a microphone. Are you back?
I'm back.
So, Derek Ambrose says, the break music sounds like something that a band I used to follow from Des Moines area put out like 16 years ago. So, the band is from actually the Rockford area, and they are at the Wayside. They're friends of ours. They're friends of the show. We've had them on the show a couple times. They even did a performance on our Christmas extravaganza. Yes. So, very good friends of ours, and they're very much, as Remzo Martinez called them, they're very much like angsty 2000s pop punk. Yes. So, still great music.
Yes.
Still like one of the last great genres of music was the angsty pop punk music. And then they all started just going very poppy. And so it just got lost there. So that's what we're listening to. They're at the Wayside. Make sure you check them out. Check out their music, because I think they put out an album last year. Right about when we started playing this music, they put out an album. So, talking about Joe Biden's visit to Europe, his Euro trip. You think he's visiting nude beaches?
I think he's trying to.
He's the guy that goes to nude beaches to find the women, and it's all just old men like him.
Damn it.
Now, Derek had also said that he speculates that Joe Biden smelled Zelensky's hair when he hugged him.
Yes, I believe that.
I had the picture of the hug, but I must have closed it. But so
it was probably super awkward.
There's a very good chance that he did, in fact, smell Zelensky's hair. Now, what do you think Zelensky's hair smells like to begin with? You think it's greasy? You think Zelensky has greasy hair?
No, I bet you he takes really good care. It probably smells like cherry blossoms.
Cherry blossoms. Oh, all right. Let's get back in this. We're shifting from his surprise, secret, covert, like whatever we're calling it, trip to Kiev, where we're all like, that's not that big of a surprise. They're like, oh, is this covert operation? It's like, but we
call it Operation Big Guy.
Yeah, we kind of knew this was coming, and they're like, no, this was secret. This was top secret. Nobody knows. Like, but we kind of did. Like when they were saying he definitely, absolutely will not be able to make any sort of visit to Ukraine. We're like, but won't he? And so now they're making this into this big operation. But now we've shifted his trip to the layover spot, which is now Poland, which was supposed to be the main event, had got pushed to like the side event. And so that's where we're at now. But I'm more interested in Poland at this moment in my life, today, specifically today, than I am about his trip to Kiev, because it's like if he's gonna visit Europe, he's gonna visit Kiev.
But wouldn't his handlers, i.e. puppet masters, basically think, hey, wouldn't it be a great distraction if he went to Ukraine before he went to Poland? Take the spotlight off of Poland.
I mean, yeah, that would make sense. They're like, maybe we shouldn't so much focus on Poland, because people might start asking questions about Poland. So maybe. I don't have all my articles up that I thought I did. Hang on just a second. Maybe I do. I don't. I'm missing an article on Poland.
What the hell?
I don't know. Anyway, let's shift focus to Poland.
Okay.
Again, have to ask yourselves, why Poland?
Yes.
Let me try to pull up this article real quick.
Because when you think of Eastern Europe, Poland's not the sexiest country.
It's not like you think of like Hungary and Ukraine, like
Czechoslovakia.
I don't even really consider Poland as part of Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
They're more like, they're kind of like borderline with the Nordic countries and Eastern countries. They're just kind of in the middle there. In Germanian countries, they're just kind of the bastard child stuck in the middle.
Really are.
So But Poland, the interesting thing about Poland, I'm going to get more into this, is when we have talked about Poland in the last few months, it's been more about them kind of being the bastards of the EU.
Yeah.
Because we did a whole episode on countries that were becoming nationalistic.
Yeah.
And Poland was one, way up on the list. Like, Poland lost a lot of EU funding because of their policies not aligning with the EU policies.
Their new guy went way right.
Right.
Like Mussolini right is what they said.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Let me see if I can find this real quick.
Yeah. And remember, Poland was one that they were struggling with migration, like immigration, because Belarus was like funneling Ukrainian immigrants to Poland.
And Poland shut the doors, but Poland is still getting all this credit for being like the humanitarians because they've taken on so many Ukrainian. But then to stick it to Belarus, they're like, well, Belarus was sticking it to them by funneling them through, and they're like, no more from you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's all great and good when it benefits Poland. But when it's like sticking it to Poland, they're like, no, we don't want those.
Yeah.
We want some of them, but not all of them. Derek Ambrose says Zelensky definitely uses some kind of designer oil.
I thought so, too.
So here's the article I was looking for. It says, Biden to discuss more troops in upcoming visit. I don't think this was the exact one, but this is basically along the same lines. Like, Poland is basically in discussions for more troops, but not only more troops, but permanent troops. They want more U.S. permanent troops in Poland, conveniently right there on the Ukraine border.
That is convenient. I mean, isn't having an army base at Ramstein or Air Force base at Ramstein, isn't that enough?
That's Germany, right?
Yeah.
Like, we got all kinds of troops
Yeah.
in Germany, and we have some troops in Poland, but Poland's like, no, we want all the troops. It says Polish Prime Minister Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. I thought it was Duda, or is that the president?
Duda's the president.
Okay, it's one of those prime minister president deals where I can't decide which is which. Said on Sunday that he and U.S. President Joe Biden will discuss possibly increasing U.S. troop presence in Poland and making it more permanent during Biden's upcoming visit to Warsaw. We are in the process of discussions with President Biden's administration about making their presence more permanent and increasing them. I'm very grateful also for sending new Patriot systems and other very modern weapons and munitions, because this is also to some extent a proxy for presence of soldiers, but of course the two go in tandem. So basically he's like, thanks for all the cool weapons. I mean, that kind of it makes up for not sending more troops, but it'd be better if you also sent more troops also on top of that.
Yeah.
It's like, your billions of dollars well, what was the Zelensky line? Many thanks.
Yes.
Or 100 thanks are not 100 tanks.
Yes.
Like, is everybody in Eastern Europe so ungrateful?
I'm getting that feeling, yes.
It's like, it's all your technology and weapons, that's great, and that makes up for, you just not sending us all the troops that we want.
It kind of makes you understand why Truman just let Russia have Eastern Europe last time. He's like, you know what? They're not even worth it.
Yeah. We try with them, and they don't ever say thank you.
Yes. So just take them.
Their thank yous are so backhanded all the fucking time that you can just have them. It's like, thanks, but thanks for not sending troops, though, too.
Dick.
Biden will visit Poland over February 20th through the 22nd to mark the first anniversary of Russia's invasion. The U.S. bolstered its troop presence in Poland ahead of February 2022 and currently has roughly 11,000 personnel in rotation there. And they already have 11,000 of our troops in Poland, a state that's not at war technically. Supposedly.
Yeah.
But they want more of our troops and more permanent. Biden said last June that the U.S. will set up a new permanent army headquarters in Poland in response to Russia's threats.
Wow.
Biden will meet with Polish President Duda and Eastern European allies and speak about Ukraine, but has no plans to cross into neighboring Ukraine, according to the White House. So this was obviously a few days ago, or yesterday. This was yesterday, so still had no plans.
Right.
Well, Biden, if they didn't tell Biden, then they're not lying, because he didn't have plans to cross into to Ukraine.
Oh, we're going.
And technically, he didn't cross. Well, depending on where he went from. No, he started in Ukraine and then crossed into Poland. So that's where you're getting it wrong. He didn't have plans to cross from Poland into Ukraine. No, he went to Ukraine, and then crossed into Poland.
That's true.
So there's a difference. So discussions for more troops, permanent troops. Yeah. Asking a lot from this country that's already bleeding itself to every single fucking country, every proxy in the.
I mean, not to them. I mean, to them, the United States is, it's the big boy on the block, right? Everybody wants to have his toothbrush at their apartment, and that's kind of where Poland is. They want some of what the U.S. magic has. They think that it will keep them safe from Russia.
No, they don't want the U.S. what the magic the U.S. has. They want the money that the U.S. is willing to fork out,
and the weapons.
Well, yeah, that too.
The money and the weapons.
But the weapons can be sold to Afghanistan for money, as many countries have found out, and sold to terrorists for money. Right. The Wall Street Journal has come up because again we ask why Poland? Why is Poland this stopping point for this historic symbolic stopping point for Joe Biden? Why Poland? The Wall Street Journal came out yesterday and said that with Ukraine at war at its doorstep, Poland has become the West's firebrand. What does that mean to you?
To me?
Yeah. Explain that in your words.
That they're kind of the...
Are they like the bulldog in the region? Is that what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like
kind of like the prize fighter, right? They're the one that is like, okay, if shit goes south, you're next, right?
Yes.
You got this. You're gonna pick up the slack. You're gonna carry the flag. You got this shit.
It says coming visits to Warsaw by President Biden spotlights Poland's role as it presses for weapons to support Kiev. With Ukraine war on its doorsteps, Poland has emerged as Europe's preeminent hawk on the conflict with Russia, as Warsaw plays a central role in stiffening Western resolve towards Moscow through public pressure and back-channel negotiations. Now, remember, last week, 2 weeks ago, Germany and the U.S. decided to send all these freaking tanks into Ukraine. Made a big deal of it. After Zelensky said 100 tanks are not 100 tanks. Now, Germany was actually pressured by Poland to send in tanks. Poland put a lot of pressure. Right. Poland's putting on a lot of pressure on other European countries to keep supporting this thing. Like, guys, we got to keep throwing more at this. Yeah. And on top of that, you can funnel that through Poland to get to Ukraine.
We'll make sure we get them.
Yeah, we'll get it to them. Now that raises enough questions to me that Poland wants all this stuff to funnel through Poland. They want to be like the hub, the stopping hub.
Right. They want to be the Dwight in The Office.
Yes, that's pretty good. It says Poland's stance at the forefront of Western support for Ukraine will come under the spotlight when President Biden visits Warsaw days before the first anniversary of the start of the war. The visit is a sign of Washington's support for a country that was once a prickly ally and whose strident warnings of Russian aggression fell largely on deaf ears in the West before Moscow invaded last year. Now, having successfully lobbied the U.S. and European allies to send Ukraine modern tanks, Polish officials say they are working to push European partners and the U.S. to transfer even more advanced weapons to Kiev, F-16 fighters. So Poland is now lobbying for everyone to send F-16 fighters.
Of course.
It says Biden arrived in Warsaw Tuesday morning for a 2-day visit in which he is scheduled to meet with Poland's leaders. Poland is a frontline state. I keep dropping my damn notebook.
I noticed that.
Poland is a frontline state in a time of war. The U.S.-Poland relationship is a wartime relationship. Like, we're only friends when we're at war.
Well, and again, in the 80s, it was Poland that led the fight against Russia, right?
Yeah, on
in
that
the Cold
front,
War.
yes.
Right, yeah. The Lech Walesa was like this big freedom fighter against the Communist Party.
And then there was the Taliban too.
Well,
or
them too.
Whatever the former.
Yes. So, but symbolically, Poland does have a place in the fight.
Well, yeah, they are wartime friends.
Yes.
They're war buddies. For a long time, Europe was getting weary of Poland's warnings about Russia, but as it turned out, they were right. Poland has been the loudest advocate for price caps on Russian oil, harsher sanctions against its economy, and advanced Western weaponry to help Kiev push Moscow's force out of the country. Now, them being the loudest advocate for price caps and sanctions on Russian oil and imports and shit. As of recently, as February 10th, Poland is still getting 10% of its oil from Russia.
Huh.
Now, how does that work? Them being the loudest advocates for
price caps,
ending trade with Russia and like economically ruining Russia, but they're still getting 10% of their oil from Russia.
Well, it must make you think that they got some kind of incentive to make that kind of deal.
Well, do you know what their reasoning is for it? You know what they blamed it on?
What's that?
The EU has not placed an embargo on their oil yet. So the EU has not made it so we can't, so we still are, I guess. Yes.
I guess that makes as much sense as anything.
I guess. So I feel like there's maybe a little bit of playing both sides in this.
Well, yeah.
Well, at least get it, not even playing both sides, just getting theirs in all of this.
Yeah, and that's what all this is about.
Poland is interested in Poland. Again, highly nationalistic state.
Yes.
So, obviously, their interest is themselves.
Right.
So, if it doesn't economically make sense for Poland to completely cut off all of Russia's oil, then they're not going to do it, even if it means still kind of somewhat supporting Russia in this whole incursion that they are so much against.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Obviously, they're still financially supporting Russia in a way. So, do you think, like, shouldn't we take kind of the George Bush stance against Poland and be like, if you're not for us, you're one of them, or whatever he said?
That was George Bush. This is Joe Biden.
Joe
Biden's like, sure, we'll get you more troops.
Well, Joe Biden was the one that kept Nord Stream 2 open to begin with, like sanctioned Nord Stream 2 to begin with.
Until he blew it up.
It says Poland has also registered some 1.5 million Ukrainians for temporary protection, a third more than Germany, which is the second most affected country by the refugee crisis. Now, after Warsaw helped get Germany to agree to send Leopard 2 tanks following weeks of pressure, Polish officials are urging the U.S. and European allies to jointly supply Ukraine with F-16 fighters, an advisor to Polish national security said. Poland is an important defender of NATO's eastern flank, said Mr. Zybertowicz, adding that Poland's forward position means it must act more boldly than other European allies, such as Germany. Poland has struck out on its own after decades of following currents within the EU because it now understands that following others in Europe is dangerous not only for Poland's prosperity, but it's also very existence.
So Poland wants to be the next Israel.
Poland wants to be the next big dog on the block.
And so they're like, you can keep your troops and weapons here, and we'll make sure nobody gets into the EU.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what's going on. And this other article, I'm not going to keep just reading, but there's a lot of stuff. But this one is titled, Poland is leading the way in Europe's response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Poland is blowing up.
Yeah, they're the big dogs on the block. And it's interesting, again, because a few months ago, everybody was against Poland. Now, all of a sudden, Poland's the guy.
They're the guy, yeah.
And part of it makes me wonder, is Poland like cozying up to the U.S. to kind of stick it to the EU?
Right.
Because the U.S. and the EU haven't always been on great terms.
Yes, especially when it comes to Ukraine.
Yes.
Remember Victoria Nuland? Fuck them.
Right. Well, they've always kind of been like, we don't quite align with the EU.
Yeah.
And especially after Donald Trump and stuff. Right. Well, Poland very much doesn't align with the EU.
Yeah.
So maybe like it's just like, well, I'm just gonna sidestep past the EU and just go straight to the US, and they'll keep fucking supporting me.
That's true.
There's some reasons
really
to all of this.
There's
some reasons to all of this, and I want to get into it.
Okay.
This says Germany and the United States have recently made headlines by deciding to send tanks to Ukraine. However, the unsung hero behind this landmark decision was actually Poland.
Of course.
We are majorly kissing Poland's ass.
Yeah, right.
Polish leaders were instrumental in efforts to persuade Berlin in particular of the need to provide Ukraine with modern tanks. This was the latest example of Polish leadership over the past year as Europe has found itself confronted by the continent's largest armed conflict since World War II. Poland's leading role in the European response to Putin's invasion reflects the country's extensive experience of Russian imperialism in both its Tsarist and Soviet forms. Ever since Poland joined the European Union in 2004, politicians in Warsaw have been warning Europe of the growing threat posed by a resurgent and revisionist Russia. So here, this one was interesting to me. So Poland is like kind of shitting on Germany.
Yeah.
And they have been for years.
Oh, yeah.
They're not big fans of Germany.
No.
And they were a little bit pissed by the whole Nord Stream 2 thing, which was direct line from Russia to Germany, because they're like, well, that's going to sidestep Ukraine, and Ukraine's going to lose all this money and blah blah blah. But which I don't think they give two shits about Ukraine. But Poland has basically claimed that this Nord Stream 2, it says, Polish politicians saw this strategic energy infrastructure project as a modern-day successor to the 1939 Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Do you know what that was?
I do not.
That was when the Soviet Union decided to join Nazi Germany
okay.
to take over the world. Wow. And then the Germans were like, fuck you guys, and basically screwed over the Soviets, and like because Hitler got all paranoid, and then the Soviet guy was all paranoid, and then they started fighting each other.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the pact between the Soviet Russia and Nazi Germany.
That's a stretch.
Poland is saying that Nord Stream 2 was a modern day version of that.
Yeah. But, I can understand Poland's, like paranoia, because they've been caught between those two countries in the past, and it's wreaked havoc on their whole countryside. So
Poland?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like Poland's been
Poland is
occupied by both Germany and Russia, and
so they see this opportunity now where they can, again, build up their side of things, and they can use the United States to do it.
Do you think it's a little exaggerating, though, to say the Nord Stream 2 is modern day
without a doubt,
Ribbentrop Pact?
But that's like saying that when Zelensky said that this is the biggest threat since Nazi Germany, that
sure, like everything comes back to
genocide,
Nazis.
right?
Everything comes back to Nazis, even Nord Stream 2.
Even in Europe,
even though
and Russia.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We talked about, at the early days of the Ukraine war, we talked about the Nazis in Ukraine.
Yes.
Didn't those Nazis come from Poland?
I believe so.
I believe so too. I'm not going to say that for
I
sure.
Hope I think they're hoping that no one else notices.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure
Do you
lot
think
of those.
that Victoria Nuland was like, "Hey, you guys got a couple Nazis you can send our way?"
Yes. It says they warned that the pipeline allowed Putin to bypass Ukraine's gas transit system and would expose the country to a full-scale invasion, while leaving the whole of Europe vulnerable to Russian energy blackmail. No, the blackmail kind of came from the U.S. when the U.S. decided to blow up the energy that was coming from Russia to Germany. Germany chose to ignore the warnings until the eve of Russia's February 22nd attack. All right. Let me find something here, because it talks about, well, it says Polish leadership is helping to fill a geopolitical vacuum created by declining influence of Europe's traditionally dominant foreign policy forces. Now, has there ever been a time when we're talking on this show and we've talked about a country that's come in, or a group of people that comes in to fill a vacuum? Has that ever been a good thing?
No.
Has it ever like turned out for the best when, hey, there's this big vacuum here, somebody's going to have to come fill it? Has it ever ended good?
No. It's always been bad. It's always been a strong man, and yeah.
Says Britain voted to leave the EU in 2016, greatly reducing the UK's ability to shape Europe's response to the Russian threat. Or reduced their ability to shape Europe as they wanted it to be.
Right, yes.
And now Poland is trying to be
Fill
that
that
person to
in.
shape Europe
Okay.
in the form that they want, in my opinion. That's more of what it is. It says, meanwhile, throughout his reign, Putin has demonstrated an ability to co-opt French and German politicians and businessmen with trade deals, pipelines, and other incentives. It is no coincidence that Russian dictator handpicked Germany and France in 2014 to participate in Normandy format talks to end the war sparked by Russia in eastern Ukraine. Now, Russia's side of this is the overthrow in Ukraine was a coup, and most of that coup came from Poland. That's Russia's side of it.
Okay.
But Poland says that Russia was what was the problem in 2014.
Right. Okay.
So, I'm trying to find it because it says somewhere that Poland has provided the most military assistance out of any other country to Ukraine. Do you think that's correct?
No.
Why don't you think that's correct?
Well, because we know that can't be correct. We know how much the United States has purportedly given to them, Ukraine. Now
the question is, are they giving it to Ukraine, or are they funneling it through
Well,
and replacing Poland's with their own?
I was just going to say, yes, I believe that they are using Poland to funnel things through, so things are not directly coming from the United States.
So we give like $100 or like $15 billion in aid to Poland, and they give $15 billion of their aid, or $16 billion of their aid, would only technically give $1 billion in aid.
Right.
But technically, semantically, they gave more because of semantics.
And they gave all these Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, but then they got all new Leopard 2 tanks.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, then that's been kind of like they've been pushing, like it says they're pushing the U.S. and Germany to send F-16s.
Right.
Now Poland has kind of hinted around that I kind of want to send our tanks in F-16s, but we're only going to do so if the U.S. agrees, because these were F-16s given to them by the U.S. to start with. And they're like, yeah, we kind of want to give our F-16s to Ukraine, but we're only going to do that if you have a steady supply of brand new F-16s.
So you can imagine when Zelensky's like, well, I really want jets, and Poland's like, yes! Yes!
Dude, we are really blowing up the mics tonight. I don't know what's going on here.
We're excited by this war.
I guess so. This war.
Because, yes, Poland gives up their old jets. They get all new jets.
Right. And the scary thing with that is, like, everybody's propping up Poland like they're just this, like, out of the goodness of their hearts, we want to help. We want to help out Ukraine. We want to stand up for democracy. But in reality, it's just we just want new shit.
Yeah.
It's like somebody donating stuff to Goodwill so they have room for more new shit. But you're like, oh, you're such a generous person for giving away all your stuff. It's like, yeah, but I'm just doing it to get new shit.
What the Ukraine-Russian war really, really highlights is the fact that war.
It's a racket.
It's a racket, and everybody wants theirs.
Everybody wants their piece.
Everybody wants their piece. Everybody wants to make a profit. They want new weapons. They want army. They want planes. They want tanks. They want to make billions of dollars. They want new yachts. They want new mansions. And so everybody is using this to get their piece of the pie.
Yeah, and Poland just happens to be right there.
Yes.
So they could easily set up their own hub.
Yes.
Be like, hey, we want to be the funnel. Yeah. It's kind of like what there was like rumors that FTX was for the crypto, like funneling to Ukraine. Like, yeah, it's all going through FTX, and then that turned out to be a massive money fraud. Right. And it's like, if that actually was a thing, all of the money funneling through, that they're just like, oh, we're just going to streamline. Anytime one entity is like, we just want to streamline this all to make things easier for all y'all, it's only for their own benefit. Absolutely. That's what it is. And so when Ukraine comes out, or not Ukraine, Poland comes out, and they're like, we want to be the hub to streamline services and goods and money and all the military aid that's going into Ukraine. They're somehow getting their piece of it, one way or another. Like, how much of that shit is tracked. Like that. I mean, we talked about
none of it
6 months ago, where it's just like 90% of the shit's not even making it to the front lines. Well, how much of that is getting bottled up in Ukraine?
Right.
Because streamline sounds like bottleneck to me.
Right.
Which
Absolutely.
is where things can easily get bottlenecked up, like stopped up, and like, well, we're trying to streamline this stuff, but things are getting backed up, like shipping's in. So we got this stuff stashed here. It's going to get there eventually, but we got to have the supply routes to get it there. And in the meantime, they're just borrowing tanks and taking them out for joyrides, and F-16s are flying around and shit and being sold to the black market.
The more we talk about this, do you get the impression that they're setting up Ukraine to be kind of like Leonidas and his Spartans, right? Like they're the army that's holding the communists in place, those 300 guys that are about to get slaughtered.
Absolutely.
And then everybody's going to sing songs about them.
Yes, I think that's all it is just to, but they're basically there to get mowed over.
Yeah, they're going to get mowed over. And I'm sure you'll talk about here shortly that someone's got to be there to pick up the pieces. Right?
Yeah, I mean, when Ukraine gets mowed over, inevitably, as they will, because we're just going to sit here and keep poking the bear.
Right.
And Ukraine just sits between the two, and they got this freaking stripper guy that thinks he's a president.
Yeah.
That's like, we're strong and brave. He
here.
thinks he's fucking
he thinks that he's the great hero that everybody's
the 300 guy.
Yeah,
right?
Leonidas.
Yes. He thinks he's that guy, and he's going to lead him to victory. And we're just like, yes,
you
you
got him, we
are.
got your
You
back.
got this. Yep. But in reality, they know Russia's going to mow over Ukraine. They're going to probably have some sort of conflict, or what's going to happen is they're going to come up with some deal. It's just like, look, we won't attack you. Let's make some sort of deal. Let's just rearrange this a little bit. Take like kind of restructure everything. You take a little bit, we'll take a little bit. With kind of like with Berlin.
Right.
It's like Germany fell. Everybody just divided up the pieces.
Right.
Ukraine falls. Let's see. Let's all just get our piece. And who do you think wants a piece of that pie?
Poland.
Poland is right fucking there. And part of Ukraine used to be Poland.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get there though.
I know.
Jumping ahead.
I didn't want to jump ahead, but it just was in my head.
So we're gonna run out of time, so I gotta go quick. Now, why is everybody on Poland's jock right now? Again, when 6 months ago everybody was kind of against the nationalistic Poland, because their political party is like literally called the Law and Order Party or something weird like that. It's like something very Trumpian. It's like, yeah, we are the Law and Order Party of Poland. And it's like, dude, where did the Trump accent come from? You're Polish.
Right.
Derek Ambrose says, this is Ukraine, and kicks some Russian conscript back into a shit field
I want to see that.
Yes, that would be the movie I would pay to go see. Now, at this very time, as recently as February 15th, so like a week ago, the EU was suing Poland over violations of EU law, because Poland's like, your law doesn't really kind of line up with our constitution, so we're going to abide to our constitution more than your law. And it had something to do with like the judiciary system. Like some judges were fired or something, and the EU's like, well, they're not getting proper like trial by whatever according to EU law, so we're suing your ass. And that just happened, like I said, 2 weeks ago. Yet here we are, and Poland is like the front runner for
because they're
the
going
Ukraine
through the
war.
United States instead of the EU.
Right. Now, at what point, like, what do you think the EU's take is on Poland kind of sidestepping them?
They're pissed.
Well, the EU is like that middle management that thinks they're the top dog.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday.
Yeah. So it says the European Commission sued Poland on Wednesday in EU's top court over violations of EU law. It sounds like a fake made-up court.
Right.
By the Polish Constitutional Tribunal and its case law, the Commission said in a statement. The lawsuit is part of a wider clash between the EU and the Eurosceptic and nationalist government that has been running Poland since 2015 over rule of law, which has already resulted in the suspension of EU funds for Warsaw. Now this whole thing, I don't give two shits about the EU suing Poland.
Right.
I do care about the result being the suspension of EU funds in Warsaw back in like 2015.
Right.
Poland's not getting this money coming in from the EU, so they're probably hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
How do they make that money back? They become the funnel for wartime treasures, I guess.
Yeah.
Wartime goods and services, like the military aid coming through. Like, it's like, well, we're not getting our money from here, so let's be the military hub because, again, war is a racket.
Right.
And Poland is a racketeer at this point. And so I feel like that part right there, that the suspension of the EU funds is a big reason why Poland is like really hard pushing this war. And that's why for years now, they're like, Russia's going to do it. Russia's going to do it. We got to do something about this. Russia's going to do it. Apparently, they were kind of like Great Britain being like look, they're going to do it. We would know. We've been at war against Russia for centuries. We would know, and we can see clearly the writing on the walls, and they're going to do it. So we want to back Ukraine here because they're going to attack Ukraine. We just want to support our brothers here, Ukraine. Even though Poland and Ukraine's never really been all that close either. But all of a sudden now they're really good buddies.
Yeah, right.
Why do you think that is? It's like, I want my money too. So another thing that was really interesting to me is apparently the EU had legal action against Poland because there was anti-LGBT zones in Poland where they're like, there's no gays allowed here, pretty much. And the EU is like, you're not going to do that because that doesn't really fit
our EU model.
Yeah, like that's not inclusionary and whatever the word is. Apparently, just a couple weeks ago, the EU quietly ended that legal action against Poland. Didn't tell anybody. They're just like, yeah, we're just not going to pursue this anymore. Wow. Convenient? Coincidental?
Yeah, a little.
Like just weeks before this big symbolic moment where Joe Biden goes and then remember that article like a couple articles ago where it's just like Poland has become this hero in this Ukraine war, and now everybody's like, look how great Poland is in all of this, and everybody forgets the fucking EU hated Poland 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden quietly they're like, well, we can't have this stain on Poland because we're going to start propping Poland up to be a bigger thing. So I wonder if like U.S. diplomats of some sort they ring up the EU. It's like, you got to make this go away.
Right. You need to drop this.
We're using Poland. We don't care what you think of Poland. We're using it because they got the Nazis.
Yeah.
We kind of need the Nazis. We don't want to be the ones to send Nazis.
Yes.
It worked really good in 2014.
Yeah.
Like, you saw how Ukraine became this pro-Western Europe thing. That's big thanks to Poland's Nazis.
Right.
So if you want the constant flow of Poland's Nazis, you got to get rid of this legal action you have against them right now. It's just interesting how things just kind of work out.
Yeah. Right.
It's like they're bad, they're law and order, they're nationalistic, then all of a sudden you have articles that's just like, praise Poland.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't the first time either. Like,
no, it happens all the time.
Poland holds themselves up basically as the Jesus of the Holocaust. Like, literally. They're like, all the stuff we did to like help the Jews during the Holocaust, like we understand what you guys went through because Germany invaded Poland, right? And they even go as far to say as Nazis killed 6 million Polish Jews. Like, how does that work? Like 6 million. I'm not gonna do the things that get you kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm just questioning Poland on this. I'm not questioning any of the rest of the narrative, just to point that out.
Yeah.
Poland says 6 million Polish Jews were killed, but 6 million total European Jews were killed. That math just does not add up for Poland.
Right.
I'm not sure how that works, but
because, like you said, they like to be that spotlight, right?
Do you know who doesn't, as much as another nation doesn't like you questioning the official like World War II narrative? Poland. Poland made it a crime punishable by 3 years to suggest that Poland was anyway responsible for the Holocaust. Even though there was Polish people before Germany even thought about invading Poland, there was Polish people that rounded up and murdered, stuck like 300 Jews in a barn and lit it on fire. Polish people.
Mm-hmm.
Not under any Nazi influence, just did it.
Just for the hell of it.
Even just saying the Polish death camps, because where was Auschwitz at?
Poland.
Yes. So just calling it a Polish death camp could get you a couple years ago in jail for 3 years.
Wow.
Even though you're not saying, hey, this was Poland that did it, it just happened to be in Poland.
Right.
Calling it a Polish death camp would have got you in jail for 3 years.
Huh.
So Poland has kind of been whitewashing their role in World War II. Yes, they were kind of victims in it, but yes, I feel like they were kind of perpetrators of it as well.
Yeah, I mean they're ones that kind of rolled over because, again, looking after their own self-interest.
Well, didn't Germany pretty much take over Poland without any shots basically fired?
I mean they had horses.
They just like rolled in and it was just like, here we are. And they're like, oh,
and they're like, wait,
all right, they're here.
We're coming at you with our horses, and then they lost, and then they gave up. So
Poland's pretty much played a pretty hefty role in most world conflicts, and they just I think they like to put themselves in the center of it. Well, they kind of are in the center.
I think they've learned their lessons, and they're like, no, we're getting ours this time.
So, what is Poland's interest in all of this? We keep asking the question. I keep saying they have plenty to gain from this. What do you think, without going into it, what is Poland's interest in all of this? So we're going to run out of time, and I still got to get to the juicy stuff.
I think they want Ukraine.
All of it, or do you think they want parts of it?
I think they want a good. I think they want a good piece of it.
You think they physically want Ukraine, or you think they want some sort of major influential role in there,
maybe
the way the United States has?
Maybe influence in the way it's being built, but I definitely think that they want.
Do you think they have territorial aspirations in this? Yes?
I do, yes.
I think initially I thought they just want the money.
Yeah.
My initial thought was massive money laundering going through this because, again, whenever you get somebody that's like, we just want to be the go-to guy.
Yeah.
Money laundering. It just screams money laundering in wartime scenario.
I think they want to take point to help rebuild Ukraine after it is totally devastated.
Well, yeah, because they'll recreate it in the shape they want it to be.
Of course.
Right off the U.S. playbook.
Yeah.
Now, while I said that the EU was suing Poland, they also are setting up this RESC-EU energy hub in Poland.
It's horrible.
Yes.
RESC-EU. Ugh.
The EU hub will allow international partners and private sectors to help channel their donations while also fully financing the transport of supplies from the hub to Ukraine. The hub is being used to deliver power generators to Ukraine, helping. So it's all just about generators, and that's all this hub is like energy crisis in Ukraine.
Right.
No, this is like a major laundering hub is
absolutely.
What this is.
Yes.
It absolutely is. That's what I think. But I find it interesting that they would set that up in Poland as they are also suing Poland.
Right, yeah.
Like, if they had that big a problem with it, it's like you'd think they'd find somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that brings me to the money laundering part. I don't know what this website is. It's strategicculture.org, but Facebook hates the fuck out of it.
Oh, well,
because
that means it's a good one.
I could not send this over Messenger to save my life.
Huh.
Like, I had to, put spaces, several spaces in the address to send it to myself from my phone because it kept saying, oh, you can't send that. So it's not like .ru or anything blatantly Russian or anything, but apparently they fucking hate this, which is why I'm going to read it. It's titled, Ukraine's Massive Money Laundering Scam. I just want to focus on one part, the Poland part. Because it says Poland is doing to Zelensky's Ukraine what Dutch multinationals and other predators did to Greece, to which we will shortly return. To fund Zelensky's war, Polish companies are snapping up Ukraine's farms and produce with discounts of up to 80% and more. Though the Polish Investment and Trade Agency are providing production workshops in Poland for Zelensky loyalists to continue their business in a time of war, the reality is that Polish companies are not only colonizing Western Ukraine, but causing capital flight by allowing Ukrainian companies to set up shop in Poland with the same rights and lack of restriction Poles have. Ukrainians given the choice of setting up in Poland or staying in cash-strapped, missile-prone Ukraine are voting with their feet and moving en masse to Polish motherland, whose entrepreneurs are buying up Galicia's farms and other resources at knockdown prices.
Wow.
So it's interesting to me because we hear of all these like troves of displaced migrants coming from Ukraine into Poland.
Right.
Well, it sounds almost like Poland's like, come on, guys, come here, bring your business with you. We'll let you set up your business here. You can operate here. You don't want to do business over there where there's missiles and shit.
Right.
Like your company could get blown up. Just bring your company here and you can set it up here. Oh, and that space there. All you have to do to set it up here is give us that territory that you have there. Is what this article is saying.
Right.
I don't know how true this is.
Yeah.
But that's at least what this article is saying.
And that makes total sense to me.
So, in an article called Ukraine's Massive Money Laundering Scam comes this tiny little section that they don't focus too much on of Poland, like basically bankrupting Ukraine's economy by kind of bringing everybody into Poland. It's like, well, why stay there when you can come here and be part of us? Well, then when that's all over, we'll all just share Ukraine together.
Right.
Is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then like the money that goes along with it, and then the buying up farmland at like nickels on the dollar, like up to 80% discount for land. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts just on that little section? Because it's got to be something because Facebook wouldn't let me send it.
Right. No, I mean, I can see that. Absolutely. And that's something that I'm sure was set up with the United States' approval. Being like, yeah, do it, man.
Yeah. I think that this is fully sanctioned.
Absolutely.
It's just like, we'll just rebuild this thing, and you can do all the dirty work.
On the ground floor.
Yeah, you could do the dirty work, and you'll get like first prime choice piece of land there, and then whatever's left, we'll just come sweep in and take.
Yeah.
And the thing is this is the scary part, and I just thought of this. Poland is what? Super nationalistic. What do we tend to do when we allow a super nationalistic country go and wreak havoc and like take over a bunch, do something and take over? What do we usually do on the back end of that?
Well, we usually
go fucking kill them.
Well, yeah,
and say they are now the next threat to.
I was thinking genocide.
Yeah, well.
I mean, remember Serbia?
Yeah.
And Bosnia?
Right.
I mean, huge civil war, ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like how many people have we put in place and then turn around and be like, that guy sucks. We got to take him out. And then we just like have a presence there. That's like we are seemingly giving Poland this blessing by Biden making this trip to Poland and being like, we got your back, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're giving them the blessing to continue being as shitty as they are, encroaching on Ukrainian space, which is what they're saying Russia is doing. But in retaliation to that, Poland is encroaching on Ukraine. Yeah. So we're just squeezing Ukraine a little more
under the table. But remember, Poland's also like, hey, United States, we'd really like you guys to come stay over here, and bring all your friends because we want your presence here.
But it's telling that the EU has all this stuff against Poland, and they're putting it on hold right now. They're putting it on hold.
Because United States.
It's not going to go away.
No.
What's going to happen is Poland's going to finish off this war with their Nazis, which we can't say. And then all this shit's going to come back out. It's like, did you know that Poland's a bunch of fucking Nazis? We got to get rid of this super nationalistic guy. Yeah. And then now what Poland did to Ukraine, basically. It's like, yeah, I got your back, bro. I got your back. Yeah. And the whole time it's just like, take them the fuck out. The West will basically probably do that to Poland.
Absolutely, yeah. We got to
because that's what happened.
Yeah. Wow, we just found out about all this war profiteering and war crimes that Poland was involved in.
Right.
Now we got to move in and take over.
Yeah, just kind of look how we were with the Soviet Union during World War II. It's like, we're in this together, guys. And then all of a sudden Nazi Germany gets down. It's like, all right, now you're next. Yeah. It's like, whoa, we did the dirty work here
together.
Yeah, we lost millions.
Yeah.
We did the dirty work. to end this threat. And it's like, well, now you're the fucking threat.
Right.
We got to have a threat. So last thing I have before we go, just to kind of stay on topic here, is this article that I found. And again, I don't know how reliable this is, but it says, I think this one is Russia media, because Russia, I didn't know this, has been accusing Poland of attempting to or starting to annex parts of Ukraine already, as we know it. And like, had you heard anything about this?
Just when we talked a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
about
and I forgot completely about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
So this says Poland begins the quiet annexation of Ukraine. See, that's where Poland did it better than Russia, because Russia did it loudly.
Russia doesn't do anything quietly.
And Poland is quietly annexing Ukraine with the West consent. It says Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is participating in this process. So they're saying, Moscow saying, Zelensky's in on this. Would you believe Zelensky's a puppet in this whole thing?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, cherry blossom hair.
Says Poland, having reached an agreement with Western countries, is trying to quietly annex the western part of Ukraine. Head of the Lugansk People's Republic mission in Moscow, Rodion Marenshnik, told TASS on Saturday. Poland is quietly trying to annex Ukraine's western part, and undoubtedly there is an agreement with the West with regard to this. According to him, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is participating. Earlier, the diplomat asserted that Poland has already made plans and certain secret agreements on the future fate of Ukraine's western part. In April, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service chief Sergei Narishkin said that according to the agency's data, Washington and Warsaw were working on plans of Poland's establishing close military and political control over its historic lands in Ukraine. So that's all it says about this. And that's just, again, just coming from Russian media.
Right.
So, could be propaganda.
Yeah.
But based on other things we've read and other things we've speculated, and the question that we have, what does Poland have to gain in all of this besides massive money laundering? Right. Yeah. There is the potential that they could be going the same route as Russia and being like, well, you say that's your land, we say it's our land.
Right.
Yeah. We want parts of it back too. So, but they're doing it in much more philanthropical ways, where it's just like, well, we'll just take in all the refugees and their business,
they
and
learn from the United
we'll
States.
give them money for their farmlands, and then
right.
they just own chunks of Ukraine because they bought.
Right. We have 40% of their population. We have 40% of their land. We
have a lot of Nazis. They have a lot of Nazis.
Right.
They have a lot of our Nazis. I don't know. Well, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, again, the fact that Poland has been kind of quiet, and then all of a sudden, the last couple weeks, they just seem to have blown up. I mean, it definitely is like something there.
The heroes in all of this. Poland's this great hero.
Yeah.
Biden's going to visit Poland of all places, and which I get is like kind of right there, but still.
Well, but again, Poland is spreading their legs for the United States. I mean. Telling them, we want your troops, we want your weapons and stuff. Set up shop here.
Yeah. We'll be the hub. We'll be the central hub. We'll streamline things to get things there, and they can use it to pretty much advance whatever they want.
Yeah. So the United States tells the EU, look, back off. Poland's taking point on this, right?
So we've kind of said quite a bit before, like, who has the most to lose in this entire war? It's obviously, clearly Ukraine.
Right. Yes.
Like, Ukraine, at the end of the day, 99% chance it's not going to exist.
But, I mean, look at it. I mean, Zelensky's sitting there, and he's like, and I need $500 billion to take care of utilities, and I want tanks, and I want jets, and they're like, yeah, okay, sure, man, we got you. Whatever you need. You just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. Right. Well, yeah.
We kind of, before the war even started, it was kind of like we were like pushing them in it, and there's pressure on both sides, and we said then it's just gonna end up running over Ukraine, which if we weren't sending the billions of dollars, like they keep saying how, well, Ukraine's been strong and all this, and they've held up they've done it on their own. It's like, no, they fucking haven't. We sent them like $20 billion or whatever.
I could do it with what they've sent.
Right. So 99% chance, I think, that Ukraine gets wiped out off the map.
Absolutely.
So then it's left to either NATO or Russia owning that territory. And what do you think the West wants more? They would rather Poland own the largest chunks of Ukraine and all the natural resources that come in Ukraine and all the trade routes, all the access to like the Black Sea and the Baltic Sea and shit like that.
Absolutely.
Obviously, NATO's going to want the bigger piece of that. Like, no talk of bringing Ukraine into NATO because there's not a very good chance that Ukraine's going to exist in the next year or so. Yeah. So it's just like, well, let's just give up on the talks of bringing Ukraine to NATO. Let's just bring NATO into Ukraine instead. Right. Poland, you're right there. You actually have kind of the birthright to that place, don't you? That's your historical lands. I mean, maybe they're the ones that have the most to gain in all this. And we've kind of overlooked that for this whole last year.
Right.
And now all of a sudden Poland's like, we're here, guys. We're the big dogs.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Poland thought was going to happen back in 2014 when they sent all their Nazis the first time. Yeah. It's like, look, Victoria Nuland, you promised that when we sent our Nazis in, and Nuland was like, look, we're playing the long game here.
Yeah, right.
We can't just let Ukraine just be completely wiped out like the first time. We gotta have this an ongoing thing to be like, look, we told you that Russia was gonna wipe out Ukraine.
Yeah.
Even though Russia's like, we just want this little piece here. This was ours, and the people there like us. Yeah. And now Poland's like, well, the people here like us, and the West is like, you got a point there. Right. You got a point.
And we'll keep NATO interest. Right.
Right. So I don't know. Do you think this is a likely scenario that Poland just wants literally a chunk of Ukraine?
I do. I think that Poland is I mean, they're looking out for themselves, right? They've learned their lessons. They've gotten their ass kicked up and down, and they want their piece of the pie. And so, yes, I think Poland wants some land, and they want some resources, and they want to pull U.S.
Well, the thing is this, like, I feel like the U.S. always wants their piece in a way that they want control of how it kind of is restructured to benefit the U.S. The U.S. had never been like, this land is my land. I mean, they colonize without literally colonizing because it's cheaper on us that way.
Yes.
I mean, we still spend billions, but we don't have to. We don't have to be responsible for the upkeep, I guess.
Exactly.
But we still colonize it. Like, it sounds like, because my first thought was Poland wants a piece of this in a way like they want kind of a controlling interest, the way the U.S. colonizes. Yeah. But reading shit like this sounds more like Poland literally wants a piece of this. They want their fucking land. They want their land back.
Yeah, they want their buffer zone.
Yeah,
from Russia.
Yeah, and that was Ukraine this whole time, has been the buffer zone. Well, if Ukraine goes away, then we still want that buffer zone. We just want it all to us. We don't care. I don't think Ukraine cares as much as they're making it out to be. That we just want Ukraine to succeed.
And we have this new fighting force straight from Ukraine, and we have this whole new military that we've gotten from the United States.
We'll keep providing all of our weapons to Ukraine, which happen to come from the U.S. to begin with.
Exactly.
But you gotta replenish those.
Exactly.
Out of the goodness of our heart, we're going to give your weapons to Ukraine.
And in the United States, all we want is basically what you give to Israel, and we'll make sure there's peace in the whole area.
Is it? I don't know. It's kind of. Do you think this happens? Do you think it ends this way?
Boy,
because I think there would have to be a freaking world war for that to happen.
Yeah, I would think so.
And I feel like
borders don't shift like that unless I agree, unless there's a world war.
Do the Ukrainians just roll over on it? It's like, well, Poland promised us all this shit, so. I mean, they seem to already, according to TASS, whatever that is, Russian news agency, it seems like they're already doing this. It's like, we'd rather you pay us, and we'll come there and live happily and rich Poland versus, well, richer Poland, I guess, rather than get bombed over here.
But look at, again, Zelensky thinks he's the golden boy, right? He's getting everything he asked for. He's showing up at the Grammys. I mean, he thinks he is the pinnacle of democracy.
The problem is with Zelensky has not been given the final page of the script.
Right.
The final page of the script. Like, when you think of, like, Game of Thrones or like shows where
the twist.
Yeah, there's always the twist where like a main character dies.
Right.
A lot of times you find out that that person's like, I didn't even know I was leaving the show until we like literally sat down and recorded that episode, and I was devastated. Zelensky has not been given the final page of the script because Zelensky is one of the biggest pawns in all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Zelensky is not going to make it out of this alive. I don't think.
I don't think so either.
I honestly don't think Zelensky survives this.
No.
Joe Biden, I think, is equally a pawn. I think they would throw him into Ukraine to hope that would spark a world war if they tried to assassinate him. I do. But then you got Poland wants to be one of the big players in all of this. They always have been.
Yes.
Wanted to be.
Yes.
They've always like duked it out with Russia. It's like, no, this is my land. This is your land.
Yeah.
They want to be the next like Great Britain or whatever, the next colonizer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they just want, they're like, they have high aspirations of being one of the powers in the bloc there.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're right there. So
and you can tell, I mean, they're standing up to the EU and be like, look, that's not the way we're going to do things. That means that they know they got somebody that has their back, that they don't have to rely on the EU. Right? You're going to take our money? That's okay. These guys over here said they'd give us money.
Yeah. If they don't give us money, they'll just give us their planes.
Right.
Then we'll just sell them to the Taliban. So we're kind of in agreement that this is probably a likely scenario that Poland doesn't care about Ukraine. They want to restructure Ukraine.
Absolutely.
Do you think that after that all happens, Poland itself will get restructured down the line?
I can see that.
Yeah.
I think they're setting themselves up for it.
I think so, too. I don't think Poland is what they think they are.
No.
Just like Zelensky's not what he thinks he is. I don't think Poland has read the end of the script either.
No.
Anything? You got any final thoughts on all of this?
It hasn't gone the way I thought.
Never does. So many plot twists.
There is. Yeah.
Like this episode or the war?
The war.
Yeah. What? 1 year into it, and I know we just did a show kind of revisiting a war. 1 year into it, looking at today, like a lot's happened today.
Yeah.
A lot's happened just in the last 2 days. I'm like, I didn't see that coming.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't see him. I mean, I can see him going to Ukraine, but just the fact that he covertly snuck in, Biden covertly snuck. The funny thing is, this whole show was Biden going to Europe, and we talked less about Biden and more about Europe.
But that's the less interesting part.
What do you think? I guess final thoughts on what is Biden going to say in Poland? Because we've talked about Poland and we talked about Biden, but we haven't talked about them together.
I think he's going to pass the torch to Poland.
You think so?
And be like, look, we trust you guys. You got this. You've done a great job of taking the lead. We're going to keep making sure that you facilitate where the arms and the money goes for Ukraine.
Just giving Poland the blessing.
But
for Nazis to be Nazis.
Yep.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Duda, you're doing a great job, man. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Right. Probably. I think this is something big.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is yet, but I think this visit, I think the visit to Ukraine, like you were saying, I think that was just a ruse.
Yeah.
Sure, historic, symbolic, whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's more about his visit to Poland. That is symbolically something more than what they're wanting us to leading us on to believe.
And maybe he also had to go massage Zelensky a little bit. Maybe Zelensky was getting a little nervous. Was like, hey, I'm rethinking this, guys. I'm not sure that I really want. And so Biden goes. He's like, hey, we got your back.
We got
man.
this.
It's okay.
Yeah, he's like the. Ew. What do you put in your hair?
Yeah, this is really soft.
He's like the pitching coach that comes out and puts his hand on the shoulder.
Right.
It's just like, you got this. You gotta just cool off a little.
It's like playing catch.
Yeah, exactly. Baseball season's coming up.
I know.
That's the biggest news.
I was going to give you that one.
Yeah, I think we need to pay attention to what's going on in Poland because I think that's something symbolic there.
Yeah.
I think it could be like the handing of the torch moment or the passing the blessing moment or even just like the start of a NATO sort of response type. Something's going on there. I think this is a story that's more important than people even realize, and we are like some of the first people actually talking about it right now.
I think so too.
It seems to happen a lot. We're like, oh, this is interesting, and then like 3 days later, people are like, this is a big fucking story, and we're like, we talked about that, and nobody cared at that point, but now everybody's talking about it. So,
now, do you think the media is going to downplay the Polish thing more?
No, I don't, because
you think they're going to say, be like, hey, this is historic?
I think Poland's gonna. Well, I think Poland's all of a sudden going to be some sort of hero. Almost like Zelensky's been in all of this.
Right.
Like Poland is going to start being propped up.
He's like
more
the
and
phase
more.
2 hero is Poland.
Poland will start being propped up more and more.
Yeah.
Maybe not immediately, but I think in the next few months we're going to see kind of this ramp up of like some sort of like Poland narrative.
So liberals are going to start flying Polish flags.
Probably. That is all the time we have for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope Joe Biden enjoyed his vacation to Europe. I hope he got some good ice cream.
I'm sure he
Do they have good ice cream in Poland?
I don't know that.
I doubt they do in Ukraine.
I doubt they do, too.
Not in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Do they even
Poland.
have ice in Ukraine right
Not
now?
anymore.
Let us know what you think. The comment section is always open. We also have all sorts of social media that you can like and follow and subscribe to. I like to hang out on the Twitterverse because I get spicier and can troll people more there. But we also have a Facebook forum called the Breaking the Bell Forum. I had to stop and think about that. Where you can come, invite yourself in. I'll let you in if you're a person. And we can talk about this stuff. Let us know what you think. Have you considered this Polish angle, the Poland front, or whatever? Because I hadn't until I saw Joe Biden was going to Poland. I was just like, what the hell's going on in Poland?
Yeah.
And so I started looking into it, and there's, again, a lot of the juicier stuff that we got to at the end was like Russian-based media or like some vague site, but it's just like, well, somebody's talking about it, so there might be something there. And I wouldn't put it past another European country to be like, they're taking parts of Ukraine. Maybe I want parts of Ukraine. And I want to get in on the money laundering. And I want to be the big dog on the block.
Well, like I said, I mean, they never will. But, I mean, history classes could take this war and, again, show just how much people take advantage of a war. And so
that's every war, though. But this is the biggest one.
This is the most obvious,
yes,
I think.
You would think so.
Yes.
But you still got people with Ukraine flags on their freaking Twitter pages and shit. So, again, find us all over social media. You can find us at the handle @BreakTheBellPod. Let us know what you think. Get into some juicy conversations with us. Like, share, and subscribe. Share it across the multiverse because that's how we become famous, and that's what we want to do. So, otherwise, be back here next time, which will probably be tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., is the Two Scoops morning show with me and Dan Smots of the System Is Down podcast, where we wake you up right with some bullshit stories, I guess.
Yeah. And
uncomfortable stories, usually.
Uncomfortable stories with Craig and Dan.
Yes, mostly. Otherwise, be back here next week. Same time, same channel, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll have another good one for you because that's what we do around here. Come hang out, invite your friends because the more the merrier. Thanks to everybody who showed up tonight and participated in the comment section. We love you for it.
Absolutely.
Be back here next time. We'll catch you later.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.